Hello everyone, just quickly walk through the Linux history or Linux history. So Linux is uh, created by a Finland student, Linus Torvald, in 1991. So he was a student of Finland University, which is the Helsinki, began developing Unix-like operating system. So his motive is that to create the Unix-like operating system. So as a hobby project, but now it is very much required for our applications to run. So he was using a Minix version, which is the educational version using microkernel. So he took as a base to develop the new operating system. So he was working with different developers, and at the end he developed a kernel which is named as Linux or Linux. So both the pronunciations are correct. Whatever you feel you comfortable, you just pronounce it with that way. So Linux or Linux. So Linus Torvald released the source code under the GNU, which is the General Public License. So which is basically saying that it is open source and freely available to anyone. And this adoption of the GPL ensured that Linux would remain open source, allowing anyone to view, modify, and distribute the code. So time to time, there are different distributions of Linux were developed. In 92 to 1995, Linux gained traction and a community of developers started to form around it. So there are different Linux distributions are now available, and there are some software packages along with the Linux distribution operating systems. So so earlier distributions are Slackware and Debian in 1993. Now, first version of Linux was 1.1.0.0. It was released in 1994. The versioning system, Linux, uses odd number releases indicating development version, and even number indicates the releases representing the stable version was established. So one, if it is two, so it means it is a even number released representing the stable version. If it is 1.0 something, it is a development version. Okay, so now it becomes very popular after a particular time. So people start making it commercial. Okay, but Linux is free of course, right? So Linux gained the popularity, commercial interest in the operating system grew. Companies such as Red Hat, SUSE, and other became commercial Linux distribution and support service. So Linux is free. If you want to install Red Hat, Ubuntu, CentOS, all are free. But the thing is that if you are using Red Hat and you need a support, then you need to pay to the Red Hat company. Okay, but in the bottom line, they are using the Linux operating system only. They have also have desktop version, but mostly we use the CLI. But there were some desktop version, Genome and KDE contributed to usability on the desktop because Windows is GUI based. So that's why to make it more comfortable with the developers, so they created the desktop version. But if you are a system administrator of Linux, then most of the time you are working on the command line, right? So now Linux is very popular. Now it is used in many devices, many operating systems. So for routers, network switches to smartphones or tablet, Android is Linux based, emerged as the dominant mobile operating system, right? So in Android operating system mobiles, they are Linux based, right? Now, if you talk, if we talk about the cloud-based system, so there also Linux is very popular. You create the virtual machines, environment, Docker, Kubernetes, all are under the neath. They are using Linux kernel. Now, Linux is not stopped here. You run yum update command, you run DNF update, or you run apt update, or you need a new update. So that development is continued. So Linux development continues to be the collaborative efforts involving thousands of developers worldwide. The Linux kernel has grown in complexity and features supporting vast range of hardware and software operations. Today, Linux is the fundamental part of technological landscape powering servers, supercomputers, smartphones, embedded services, devices, and more. It's open source in nature, robust and flexible, continue to drive the popularity and development of various domains. So this is a bit history and the present state of Linux. That's it for this lecture. We will meet on next lecture. Till then, bye bye.